guitarist formerly of Joan Jett and the
Blog
Black
Talk Radio.
Formerly of Billy Joel. Woody Geisman of the Del Fuegos, Kason Sultan of Todd Rundgren and Utopia, Christine Ullman of the Saturday Night Live Band, and 4 more to be announced by September. Find out more about this sober Woodstock in Sugarloaf Key by joining rockersinrecovery.com or by calling 877-799-8773. Silence calms the mind and rejuvenates the body. God Pillow has been inspiring daily devotions for over 11 years. God Pillows are custom made with love and intention. We encourage you to become part of our community. Come visit God Pillow on the World Wide Web at godpillow.com. Free concert, Rockers in Recovery Memorial Day Weekend Concert, May 28th from 1:30 to 6:30 p.m., featuring Ricky Byrd, guitarist of the NYC Hit Squad and formerly of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, along with Kason Sultan, bassist of Todd Rundgren and Utopia, Mick Jagger, and Celine Dion. Plus 3 other great bands, Johnny B and the Road Dogs, Keep Coming Back Band, and Rhetoric. Come out and join us at the First Step Sober House Memorial Day Free Concert at 450 Southwest 2nd Street, Pompano Beach. To find out more, go to rockersinrecovery.com or call 877-799-8773.
The opinions expressed in the following sponsored program are strictly those of its host, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. This is the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Show, brought to you by Holistic Lifestyles Radio Incorporated. Join us every day on AM 1470 WNN, South Florida's Health and Wealth Network. For more information about the show and our sponsors, be sure to visit our website, holisticlifestylesradio.com. That's holisticlifestylesradio.com. You can also find us on our Twitter podcast, Facebook, and blogtalkradio.com. Now, today's program.
Hey, welcome. Of course, I'm John Hollis, and you're listening to the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Network right here on, of course, our favorite radio station, WNN 1470 AM. And, of course, we're in today with the Legal Hour with Trip Beckert. All you have to do, if you want to find anything that we do on the Legal Hour, is put the Legal Hour into your browser, and it will come up everywhere. Just about every past show we've ever done with Trip is right there. You can also go to holisticlifestylesradio.com. On the right-hand side on the navigations, you can click on, of course, the Trip Beckert, the Legal Hour with Trip Beckert, Beckert & Associates, and it'll open up there, and you got some information there. And, of course, his mothership, the mothership of PompanoAttorney.com. PompanoAttorney.com, and, of course, Trip Beckert has been doing law for almost 2 decades now, and working diligently on carrying a lot of hope to families at certain times that don't have hope. And what are we talking about? We're talking about the family law aspect of it. You know, when you start looking at family law, you start looking at Rockers in Recovery and the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Show and all of the rest of the facets of problems that occur with people with addiction. We all know that a large amount of those problems stem from legal issues.
Well, yeah, I mean, people when they get sober, you know, their life doesn't automatically get better. There's a lot of wreckage that has to be dealt with, and it stems from family law issues. It deals with all the financial bridges that you've burned, and we deal with a lot of those issues in our law firm. We help folks with contract disputes, with disputes with respect to their marriage and whatnot. And I meant to ask you about this. You know, people are always welcome to send questions to me via, you know, SouthFloridaAttorney.com or PompanoAttorney.com. They can go on and just send a question via that. But is there a way that they can ask a question so we can address that on future shows?
All they have to do is just send any information to John@rockersinrecovery.com, and any question that you might have, we'll answer it.
Yeah, because, you know, I'm sure that, you know, questions come up from time to time, and we would like to be able to respond to them and let them know that, you know, we're here and we're able to help you with these type of legal questions that have come up in your life, you know, especially with people in recovery, like you said at the beginning. When you get sober, a lot of times it's going to take a long time for the healing process to take place between folks that are married, financial, partnerships, stuff like that.
The good news about this, folks, is that it is anonymous, so you don't have to put your name. You can just put the question, because a lot of times people get, scared off because they think they're going to be mentioned in something. We don't have to mention you. We would just, talk about that this question was asked and what the answer would be. So you're more than welcome to send it to, of course, John at rockersinrecovery.com, so that way we can get it into the mix every week.
Or they can ask a question, and I'll be happy to just respond to them personally. It doesn't really matter. I have no problem with that, because like I told you before, we're there to help. We will give people a free consultation. If they want to come in and talk to us, that's what it's all about.
It's funny, because when you start looking at all of the different questions, and here's the amazing part. I mean, it's nonstop with me. I get phone calls from people in regards to legal issues. Me. Now, hey, listen, I know you have, Trip Eckert that's on your show with you. Let me ask you a legal question.
You're my attorney via proxy.
Listen, here's Trip's phone number. Give him a call.
Give us a call.
But the amazing part is how many people, because there is such fear, will not pick up that phone. I had somebody call me 3 times asking me questions, and I kept telling them, call Trip, call Trip, call Trip. And then finally they made a phone call to you, but it was like, Well,
you had referred a case to me recently, and the guy came to me, and he had a particular problem, and he was very concerned about what was going on and how he was going to deal with it. And I spoke to a friend of his, and that friend let me know that, oh, yeah, he told me that it wasn't as bad as he thought. Well, I'm not the dentist. I'm not going to pull your teeth. This is something where you cannot stick your head in the sand and expect your legal problems to go away. They will not go away. They just get worse as they fester. And the reality is I can usually help at the beginning stages, but people come to me after their house is in foreclosure. There's already been a summary judgment, and there's been a sale date set, and then they expect me to work miracles. And I've told you this before. I'm a good attorney. I'm a lousy magician. So I mean, it just takes a bit of time to get some of these things resolved.
One of the things, it's funny that you talk this way, because let's think about it. How many people, myself included, when you first come in, you're in a rush. When you first come into recovery, or if you're in any type of a legal issue, the first thing that happens is you get hit with the paperwork. You sit with the paperwork and you stare at it and you try to figure it out yourself. It's like, I'm going to go in and do brain surgery and, I'm a talk show host. How does that work? It doesn't work. You know what I mean? So now I sit with that paperwork, and how long do I sit with that paperwork? It could be, a month, because I figure, if I just leave it alone, it'll go away.
Well, what's frustrating for me is that,
maybe they don't mean it.
It's not like I am charging you to come tell you what you need to do to resolve this.
Correct.
This is something you come in, it's a free consultation. It's not like you're going to get charged for me to tell you how to solve it.
They're going to charge you. You're going to charge them $500 for your hour.
No,
it doesn't work that way.
I'm just telling them, look, this is what you've got in front of you. These are your options. If you want to hire me to resolve by one of the options, that's great. But if you don't want, there's no obligation. I'm not going to, Jesse James at the door. Just, take it, for what it is, and then you'll know what you have to do to get it resolved. But don't, like you said, just stare at the paper thinking it's going to go away or get better, because it won't. It just gets worse.
Here's one of the things that I have appreciated through, the time that I've been in recovery over the last 5 years, that, things do work themselves out, and you have to have the help to do that. See, it doesn't work itself out by osmosis, so to speak. I'm not going to sit in a chair and it's just all going to magically disappear. And you have to work diligently on those things. And it's about cleaning up the wreckage of our past. And it's about dealing with those issues. At the same time, the norm out there, the normal person who's driving down the street right now, that, is everybody's prone to fear. Everybody's prone to anxiety. Everybody's prone to those things. So when you get that paperwork, it might be from the ex-wife, or it might be from the mortgage company, or it might be from, the ticket agency or whatever, whoever it may be that has a legal ramification, for us to think that we're going to sit there and find a loophole in that, or be, as they would say in my case, a jailhouse lawyer, it's insane. It's insanity. So
people are thinking right now that the foreclosure system is still as backlogged as it was. They're filing as many cases as they ever were, and there is a certain degree of delay in the time in which the banks are actually being able to put your house on the steps for sale. But it's much quicker than it was 2 years ago, and it's only going to get quicker as they do more and more of these. They have perfected.
Well, they added more people to the system.
They added more people. They have a designated judge in Broward. They have designated systems in all of the counties now, and it's important that people respond to it because there are certain legal rights that you have that you will waive if you simply sit on your hands. The worst thing in the world is for me to have a client come to me when they've done nothing, and for me to tell them, if you would only come to me sooner, I could have helped you.
Yeah, I have to be in court tomorrow. Can you be with me?
Yeah, and even if I can be with them in court tomorrow, more often than not, they've waived all of their defenses because they've allowed the case to lapse into a default or into a default judgment where there's very little for me to do, and the courts are really not sympathetic to somebody who sits on their hands for 6 months, 60 days, 90 days, whatever, when they have the ability to just scribble on a sheet of paper, this is not true. I mean, anything that you file in the courthouse is considered an answer. That will stop at least some of it. But you need to go talk to somebody, whether it's me or somebody else, just to get an idea of what you have to do to help yourself.
And I'm glad that we're talking, but especially the foreclosure aspect of it too, because there's a lot of older people that are out there now that are being slammed with this, and they made some, maybe bad choices on refis and things like that. They didn't realize that, they were going to have an additional arm coming due. They didn't realize, and a lot of it, I mean, predatory lending comes into it to a certain degree.
Absolutely.
How does, when you have the older folks out there in predatory lending, how does that all kind of mix in with the courts and the actual foreclosure system?
Well, in certain cases, for instance, legal aid is an avenue that's available to some of the elderly folks in our population. When houses are being foreclosed upon and you're dealing with the elderly, there are certain remedies available to the elderly. Legal aid's got some very fine lawyers, but legal aid is like every other publicly funded agency or agency that's funded by donations, as it were. They're overworked. They have a tremendous caseload, and it's so difficult for them to really put the attention sometimes that some folks actually need. And it's very difficult. I was in mediation the other day. I was the actual mediator in the foreclosure proceedings. The bank was there, and the folks that were being foreclosed upon were 81 and 70, and they had a legal aid attorney. And the bank simply just didn't want to do anything for them. And it's very, very difficult. They denied their modification application, and they said, we're just proceeding as forward. What are these folks left with? Well, there are remedies available to you, and it's just important that you get to somebody that's going to be able to spend the time to help you out with that.
Let's talk about some of the myths.
Okay.
Because, there's myths out there.
Oh, yeah.
I have a homestead property.
Right. Well, homestead is not going to save you from a foreclosure. The only thing that a homestead saves you from is from creditors. Okay. When somebody gets a judgment against you, they cannot foreclose upon your home because they won a legal lawsuit against you. But if you fail to pay the bank, or you fail to pay your homeowners association, or you fail to pay your taxes, you can lose your home. It's very simple.
So homesteaded doesn't mean nothing when it comes to that aspect.
No, homestead is to protect you against your creditors. If you had run up a credit card bill, or you had a failed business and you got sued not only from a corporate perspective, but you got dragged into it personally, you would be protected by your homestead. If you were driving your automobile and you happened to, unfortunately, knock wood, this doesn't happen to anybody, you happen to kill another driver, and your insurance only covered so much, but there was a judgment awarded by the court in excess of that insurance policy, then again, you would be protected from losing your home as a result of that.
Now, you'd never be able to sell that home without satisfying that judgment.
Correct. In a lot of instances, you're going to have to pay off those judgments. But the reality is they can't kick you out on the street like they can if you don't pay the bank or your taxes or your homeowners association.
The other question that I have as far as the homeowners and foreclosure market is concerned, when you deal with a foreclosure and you get your paperwork in front of the foreclosure people, does that immediately go on like your TRW? Does that go immediately to your? I mean, it's.
Well, you got to remember that
you're going to be 30, 60, 90 days behind on all of that stuff.
I mean, more often than not, when all of your payment history is reported automatically. So before it even goes to the courthouse steps and they file an actual lawsuit against you to foreclose on your property, they've already wrecked your credit. Okay. So you're already looking at a diminished credit score by the time you get to that point.
Now, with a bankruptcy, on a bankruptcy, you go into your bankruptcy court and you file your house as part of your assets. Can you keep your house if you declare bankruptcy?
No.
Okay.
No. Unfortunately, the bankruptcy proceedings will, in certain circumstances, stall the foreclosure proceedings. It will give you additional time, but it will not write off or discharge the debt of a mortgage on your home. That's a misnomer. That will not happen. A lot of folks believe that they can file bankruptcy and they can. No, it won't happen like that.
Okay. So, and again, these are all the things that when you get the paperwork, you're sitting and you're thinking. But you're not calling anybody to find out the answers.
But what bankruptcy does do, and again, I'm not a bankruptcy lawyer, and you really need to consult a bankruptcy lawyer to determine this, but more often than not, what bankruptcy does do is it allows you to discharge a number of pending debts that you would otherwise be using your income on to satisfy. So now you can redirect those payments toward your mortgage, and you're able to better save your house.
So it can be a tool.
It can be a tool. It's obviously a tool, but you need to kind of work at all of these things kind of at the same time, and you need to be able to kind of do them, sooner rather than later. You can't wait, again, until the very last minute to try to file bankruptcy thinking it's going to save you.
As, after 2 decades of doing what you've done and do, have you found that, what is the percentage, if you had to pick a percentage out of the air, what would be the percentage of the people that wait till the last minute?
Well, I would say it's well over 90%. People by nature are simply, they either don't have the money, so they use that as an excuse. They're scared to death. They use that, they use that reason, and it is a petrifying thing if you're not at all familiar with the legal system. They simply have been told things that aren't true by others, so they again wait. And unfortunately, people by nature are procrastinators. Why deal with it today if it's really not on the front burner? And sometimes they don't realize that they need to do things today that will affect it 30 days from now, and that can have an impact down the road. And simply because something's not due today, if you don't act in some fashion, it will become a problem or more of a problem that you can't fix down the road.
If you're listening right now and you have any type of these scenarios, or maybe you know somebody that does, again, PompanoBeachAttorney.com is where you want to go.
PompanoAttorney.com or SouthFloridaAttorney.com.
Okay.
Or they go on to Rockers in Recovery and they can find our links there, or they can post a question on Rockers in Recovery or one of our websites. But feel free to give us a call.
I love it. You can also tune us in at WWNN 1470 AM every day at 2:00.
Now, are you streaming live right now?
I'm streaming live.
So how do they find
on WNN? You can click there. You can go to Rockers in Recovery. You can click Listen Live. It's a beautiful thing.
So either way, they can stream live.
You're everywhere.
They get out of their car. They want to hop on the computer.
It's an amazing thing because I'm glad you brought this up. On the concert on the 28th, that you're one of the sponsors of.
Correct.
We are going to be streaming from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until 7 o'clock that night. Live video stream all day long. So even if you're out on a cruise ship, you can actually go to computer and watch the show live right at rockersandrecovery.com.
Excellent.
You're ready to go. You can watch the video. You can see Ricky getting crazy. We're going to go out to a break. We'll come back right after this message.
Excellent.
concert. Rockers in Recovery Memorial Day Weekend Concert, May 28th, 1:30 to 6:30 p.m., featuring Ricky Byrd, guitarist of the NYC Hit Squad and formerly of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, along with Jason Sultan, bassist of Todd Rundgren and Utopia, Mick Jagger and Celine Dion, along with 3 other great bands, Johnny B and the Road Dogs, Keep Coming Back Band, and Rhetoric. Come out and join us at the First Step Sober House Memorial Day Free Concert at 450 Southwest 2nd Street, Pompano Beach. To find out more, go to rockersinrecovery.com or call 877-799-8773.
My name is Charles Becker. If you or a loved one has been injured in an accident due to the negligence of another, care enough to hire Beckert & Associates to protect your rights. We are an AV-rated law firm and have 45 years of combined experience. We are all former prosecutors and have all worked for the insurance companies, so we know what they're up to. They have their attorneys, and so should you. When involved in an accident, remember, you may be entitled to $10,000 in medical or lost wages under your PIP policy. In addition, you may receive payments for your pain, suffering, or for the suffering of a loved one. Contact us at 954-941-8363 or visit us on the web at southfloridaattorney.com.
The hiring of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertising. Ask for free written information about the firm's qualifications and experience. Are you ready to explode your business? Then you are ready to take advantage of the massive marketing power of the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Network. Advertise your business, product, or service with one of the most powerful multimedia platforms on the planet. With more than 300,000 online listeners, 30 social media outlets, and a booming 15 hours of live programming on South Florida's 50,000-watt mega giant, AM 1470 WNN. Your business will be exposed to hundreds of thousands of active, progressive consumers hungry for your products and services. You'll be featured on blogs, live streams, social media, at live events, and on hundreds of archived podcasts, including Rockers in Recovery, the East Coast music scene, Defending Your Money, and dozens more. Plus, prime-time national exposure during major festivals from Las Vegas to Boston and the Florida Keys. Get ready to take your business to the next level and jumpstart your branding strategy. Advertise your events, products, and services on the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Network. Call now for special discounted packages. 877-799-8773. That's 877-799-8773. Or visit holisticlifestylesradio.com.
Attention, the 4th annual 12-Step Music Fest is coming November 3rd through the 6th in Sugarloaf Key, Florida. 4 days of music and fun with 12 musical acts along with the Rockers in Recovery Supergroup featuring Ricky Byrd, guitarist formerly of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Liberty DeVito, formerly of Billy Joel, Woody Geisman of the Del Fuegos, Jason Sultan of Todd Rundgren and Utopia, Christine Ullman of the Saturday Night Live Band, and 4 more to be announced by September. Find out more about this sober Woodstock in Sugarloaf Key by joining rockersinrecovery.com or by calling 877-799-8773.
You are listening to the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Show, brought to you by Holistic Lifestyles Radio Incorporated. For more information about the show and our sponsors, be sure to visit our website, holisticlifestylesradio.com. That's holisticlifestylesradio.com. Now, back to today's show.
Hey, welcome back. Of course, I'm here with our other host for every Friday, Trip Beckert. Trip, thanks for coming in.
Hey,
and,
great.
Thanks for being a part of the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Network. South Florida is a better place because of legal issues, because Trip is in the mix. And, of course, I say that because I like Trip, but I also know that he does a great job when he works with people. But most importantly, you can go to southfloridaattorney.com. You can also go to pompanoattorney.com and check out both of those websites. Please, you know, here's the amazing part. When we started this conversation here at the beginning of the hour, we started to talk about, of course, people that want to hide their heads in the sand. And the end result is of the first segment of the show, we were discussing all the way up to the end the fear, the anxiety, but we were giving a most important aspect of it, that there's solutions behind this. There are solutions. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about, and I think it's important, is that when you look at the fact that people And let's not even look at the legality end of it. Let's look at the emotional aspect of it. When you don't have things weighing on you and you don't have those things, it tends to make your day a whole lot better. That's the first thing. The second thing is that if you're clearing out those things, or at least you know that it's being handled, it's going to take that thought off your head. Now, emotionally, you deal with some really trying emotional things. Let's look at the family component.
People in a family situation, just from the get-go, a lot of people come to me and they say, I'm just not ready to file a divorce yet, because that they know that there's going to be a certain amount of pain level that they're going to have to go through in order to get to the other end of this. And it's very, very, very difficult for them to even pull the trigger. So a lot of times it's a waiting game. No, he's going to file a divorce. No, she's going to file a divorce. And they get into this rut, and they end up living with one another, and their life becomes even more miserable, and then the kids suffer as a result of this, simply because neither one of them wants to take the step necessary to move forward.
Do you remember War of the Roses?
Absolutely.
Do you remember Danny DeVito?
Absolutely.
When he's telling the story to the guy, and he turns around and the guy leaves. You know what I mean? Do you find that, there's that hesitation because
yes.
of that?
And it's funny, John, because a lot of people come to my office and they come in, and then 6 months later, I haven't heard from them, I haven't seen them again, and then they reappear in my office and like, okay, I'm ready. Something has happened, something has forced the issue, or they simply have had the time to mentally prepare to go through the process. But the reality is once I get them going, they realize it's not as bad as they thought it was going to be. And if you have the right approach, it doesn't have to be horrible. Same thing with business dissolutions. Business dissolutions are just like partnerships. A lot of times people are in partnerships with people and it's simply not working. They're losing money or they're not happy with one another and they need to part ways. And instead of having some knockdown, drag-out fight in court where they deplete the rest of the assets that are left in the corporation, they can usually try to work it out. One of the other guys buys the other guy out, whether it's over time or whether it's immediately, and they can resolve these issues. But if you don't sit down and deal with it, it'll never get resolved. So it's very important that they do that.
I look at the whole process of the divorce aspect and the family aspect when you start bringing the kids into it. The kids, the emotional aspect of this thing, when you start dealing with the fear, it seems like it's going to be a big fear day today because fear really stunts us from doing anything that is, positive for ourselves. We end up sitting and not doing anything. In return, what do? We end up waiting for this magical thing to appear. Hey, listen, I'm a true believer. I don't know about you, but I know for me, I'm a true believer in the power of prayer. I really do. I believe that. Why do I believe it? Because I know that I'm the guy that has to have the shovel to go dig away at the mountain, but the prayer gives me the strength to get through it. So if I'm not doing anything and I'm not just expecting it to all go away, that fear is going to just keep me paralyzed. So in the meantime, when we deal with family, when you start dealing with the kid aspect of it, and you have a 9 or 10-year-old kid, and they have to make a decision which one they're going to go with, mommy or daddy. Are they put in that position now?
No. That's something that you see on the TV shows. It's one of those again, another myth. But before I get into that particular response, I wanted to just touch on something you just brought up. It's important that people put effort behind their faith. All the faith in the world does not do anything unless you put your daily practices into motion. And it's really important that people do have faith, but that they follow through on it with some hard work and with some persistence and with some effort. Because it's important that we all try. Nobody's asking you to be perfect. Everybody's just asking you to try. Pick up the shovel. Try. You may not get very far the first day, and you may not get very far the second day, but you're going to get somewhere. You're going to be moving forward. But if you sit on your duff and you don't do anything expecting your life to get better, it won't get better. It just simply won't. It can't. All the faith in the world, it won't happen. But when you talk about your folks and whether the children have to choose, fortunately we do not put children in that predicament. It's not in their best interest. It's not in the best interest of somebody that that is emotionally undeveloped to have to make a decision of that magnitude. And that's typically why we involve guardian ad litems to come in and do an assessment of the parents, the situation. They speak to the children, they talk to them, because there's no worse predicament than for a child to ever have to make a choice, because they know no matter what they do, they've hurt somebody, and that's not the way it is. It's in the best interest of the child and of the family that there should be adequate time sharing with both parents, because Florida has determined by statute and by case law that it's in the best interest of the children to have two parents. They need to both be actively involved. They both need to be doing things with the child on a regular basis. Weekend dads are no good. You need to have somebody who's involved every day from whatever aspect you can accommodate one another to allow the child to have access to both of you equally. Even though you're living under separate roofs, it's so important that they have two parents and two actively involved parents, because you're supposed to co-parent even though you get divorced. I know it's difficult, especially if you cannot stand your former spouse and you loathe her or loathe him with every breath they take, but the reality is you have a child together, and it's important that you get past your loathing and do it for your children. It's just that simple. You got to get over it.
Your first reaction with fear and any type of anxiety is to get, I know for me, is that I have to really work diligently not to get myself feel like I'm backed into a corner and then come out scrapping. And I think a lot of people, their first reaction is revenge. You know, how am I going to, I'll get her before she gets me. You know what I mean? And that whole mindset has to be changed.
Well, I don't know that there's a guy out there that you haven't talked to that went through a divorce that the words "I got screwed" don't come out of his mouth. I mean, you know, I got screwed by divorce. She screwed me. And that's just the words that come out of their mouth. And there's a lot of women that say the same thing. My husband screwed me. I can't believe I didn't get this or I didn't get that. And the reality is you know, that's why I really I promote mediation. I promote resolution rather than litigation, because when people engage in the process of resolving their disputes and they sit down and they do it collectively through a mediator and they reach an agreement that they can live with, more often than not they feel less screwed. They feel as though they participated in it rather than the judge or somebody else ramming it down their throat.
Well, I think the closure end of this thing too, the personal closure end of it. Yeah, you still might have your emotions and your feelings, but the closure is going to be a lot better than just that whacking sting of a judge saying X, Y, Z.
Yeah,
you get to work it.
You get to participate in the resolution. And so at the end of the day, you know, when somebody says, well, what do you mean you got screwed? You were the one who helped draft the agreement. You didn't have to agree to that.
Correct.
You know, and it's important that you do participate. You don't just say whatever, because that's what happens a lot of times too. People just, you know, you're in the middle of a mediation, you've been there for 3 hours, you've been trying to resolve stuff, and one of the parties just kind of throws up their hand and say, whatever, I'll just give me the paper. Just give me the paper. And that's not really in your best interest. That's not doing yourself a service or your children a service. You really need to look at this and stay focused on what's in everybody's best interest, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult.
When we start looking at the big picture of the marital assets, and we start looking at the big picture of sitting down for 3 or 4 or 5 hours in mediation, you know, this isn't. I'm amazed. I really am. You know, we have one hell of a party at the beginning. We, you know, have bands. We're in the church. It's unbelievable. And then at the end, unfortunately, when it comes to an end, if it comes to an end, now we're all ready to kill each other and set each other on fire. And the end result is that if you just took the same approach that you took when you first, listen, even though you might not love the person, you know, you might not be in love with the person anymore, but they're the mother of your child or the husband of your child, and now you're taking a different approach on the back end. You might want to take a look at it maybe like, you know, hey, listen, it was not great at the end, but it was what it was, and let's, you know, make this as healthy as possible for everybody. And I agree with the kids most of all, but for yourselves. I mean, hey, listen, if you're at each other's throats every day and you can eliminate that and start out a new life on a new slate with making, the amends through that process, because I can see mediation being like a very healthy way of dealing with some of the issues. I don't want to call it counseling, but at the same time, it's at the end of that mediation, you're really going to be able to feel better about both parties.
Well, it's an informal process, and unless it becomes a venting fest, it's a very healthy way for people to kind of get across where they're coming from.
Right.
And a lot of times, it's the first opportunity after the divorce is filed that people actually come to the table and express what it is they want. Because a lot of times people don't say what it is that they want, and it's very important that we do that. I can't tell you how many times a spouse will come into me, a male or female, and I will say, is your spouse a good husband, or is your spouse a good mom? And more often than not, the response is he or she is a very good mom or dad. We just cannot get along, and I'm done with him. And unfortunately, because of the problems that the parent has with the other spouse, the children or the child gets kind of wrapped up into all that, and that's the problem. Because when they tell me at the get-go, he's a good parent, she's a good parent, it's hard. Then I'm saying, why are you trying to involve all of this other nonsense? Deal with the equity issues, and then we'll deal with the child issues separately, because that's the most important thing.
When you hear of, and I'll bring it up because I think it's part of the animal, when you start to talk about adultery and you start to talk about, the marriage hasn't come to an end yet.
Well, that's a very difficult subject, because a lot of people don't understand in Florida, adultery is not a basis for a divorce. I'm saying it's from a legal perspective. It has no bearing in the divorce how many adulterous affairs you've had, as long as, from an equitable distribution perspective, as long as you're not spending money on these girlfriends or boyfriends, there's really no difference with respect to you're going to get more or less out of the divorce. Now, if a person is philandering and is bringing these relationships into the actual marital home, or exposing the minor children to this type of activity, of course that's going to directly affect the child time-sharing arrangements and or the actual visitation that you're allowed. But from a monetary perspective, and women get so upset with that. He's out screwing half the town, and I have to do this. This is all I'm going to get, and it's very difficult for them to kind of come to grips with that.
The acceptance of it. Well, here staying on the topic of adultery, at the same token, does it play into the children end of it, even though maybe somebody isn't bringing it into the household, but does it play into the mind of the judge making the final decision on where the kids are going to go?
Well, again, it's one of those things where if there is testimony and evidence before the court that the extramarital affairs has become known to the minor children or has impacted those children in some way, yes, it's going to have some sort of a factor in the decision as to the time sharing that the philandering spouse would be allowed. But more often than not, how is the child going to find that out? If mom is telling Junior, your dad is sleeping with blah, 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 again, now the mom has compounded the problem by actually involving the child in the litigation, involving the child in a piece of information that the child should never be privy to, regardless of how upset you are with your spouse or with your former spouse. You should not be involving them in these types of details because the reality,
adult situation.
Yeah, it's going to impact them for the rest of their lives, and it shouldn't be something that they should know of. Now, at the same time, if mom and dad are separated and dad's got a girlfriend and he's living with a girlfriend and they've been separated for a period of time, that's not going to have a dramatic impact in time sharing. But if dad has a different girl in and out of the house every night, and Trixie's walking around half naked in the house in front of the 4 or 5-year-old kid, it's gonna be problematic. But again, these are all factual situations, and a lot of it you have to understand that you need to kind of deal with them case by case.
I'm glad that you brought that aspect up, because I have a friend of mine who's up in New York, and I know it's a little bit different probably, but
it's very similar.
It was very amazing, because he's going through this process right now, and what they had done was in mediation. They went through mediation, and what they did was in mediation they told him, listen, he had a new girlfriend, and they said that his son, who's 5 years old, was not allowed to be around the new girlfriend for a period of a year. So if the relationship was still there a year from now, then what would happen is they could then have, they could bring the girlfriend into the situation. Very, very unusual, or is that common?
Well, you figure if there's a time-sharing agreement, let's just say, for instance, you have a 50-50 time-sharing arrangement, and you have the child every other weekend, and you have the child for a percentage of time during the week, you should be able to schedule your social calendar around your dates, and to make sure that you're spending the time with your child, that you need to be spending with. Having said that, I think what the court or what people are trying to make sure of is that the relationship is a real relationship, and that the child isn't going to be exposed to a number of people, get attached, start forming some sort of bond or relationship with that new either boyfriend or girlfriend, only to have that relationship disintegrate, and then the child is now had to see it go, the parent go through it with their mom and dad, now with a series of girlfriends or boyfriends, and it becomes problematic. That's what they're trying to do. Now, the flip side of it is there's always a question in everybody's mind whether mom is trying to rule from the grave, as they say. She's no longer in the relationship, but she wants to make sure that he doesn't date anybody else. Or dads do that too. I don't want her living with anybody else. She's not allowed to have boyfriends sleep over. Blah 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 blah. Is that appropriate? Again, it's all factual. If the kids are teenagers and it's not, and it's a long-term relationship, no, it's not. It shouldn't be a big deal. If it's, mom or dad is sleeping around all the time, yeah, it's a big deal, and it's something that needs to be addressed, and it needs to be, out of the eye shot of young minds that are very impressionable.
I love and I look at the state, the state government as a whole, okay, and the legal end of this, because I think as we started to progress over time and have dealt with over time, different legal family issues, that we kind of started to look at it from the emotional level of the child. So that's why the laws have really started to be geared towards, is there children involved here?
Well, we're looking at it from the children perspective, John, but we're also looking at it from a completely different society makeup. You look at the nuclear family, it doesn't exist anymore.
No.
We don't have mom, dad, and 2 kids and a dog and a cat anymore. We have a mom and a boyfriend, with kids, and they have their kids from a former relationship or marriage, some of which are children that were from a marriage, some are children that were from simply relationships. So the dynamics in today's society are completely different than they were, say, the 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Do you think that's changed our overall makeup?
Well, I think unfortunately, you don't want to come across as too puritanical and too right-wing, that we need to have this and that. But I think it's important that if you look at society and you say, little statistics like families that have dinner together more than so many nights a week typically stay together. It's one of those things that it's important that you focus on some of those things. I mean, I think family's important. I waited a long time before I started my family because I knew I wasn't ready.
You're selling you.
Exactly. And I probably waited a lot. But so did my wife. Neither one of us had been married before. And then even after we got married, we waited many years before we actually had kids. So it's one of those things that you have to kind of look at. These kids are 17, 18 years old, or having kids some are married, some are out of wedlock. How do they have a chance from the get-go? They don't understand all of this. They probably won't understand all this until they're in their 30s or 40s. So it's a really difficult situation.
It's funny you say that because, of course, everybody knows that, my father had passed away in December. And it wasn't after, and he was divorced, him and my mother were divorced when I was about 7. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I really was up there after the death and going through the house and cleaning stuff out with my brothers that I started to really see his pain. Mm-hmm. And to see some of the issues of everything. So you really don't, and I was 40, I'm 44 years old, so it took me 44 years to really understand the dynamics of it. Mm-hmm. For many years, I just didn't get it. I didn't care. You know what I mean? I said I didn't care. But in the meantime, when I finally seen it, then I could feel the pain of it. I could feel his pain, and now I can see her pain, too. So you can see both sides of it. What I'm going to do is go out to a break right now because we need to take one of those.
And when we come back, I want to talk about real-life divorces versus celebrity divorces, because that's what people look at. They think that, they're dealing with the Arnolds and the Marias, and that's not a realistic situation. And we'll talk more about that when we get back. I think it's kind of comical.
That should be some fun. We'll be back right after this message.
Attention, the 4th annual 12-Step Music Fest is coming November 3rd through the 6th in Sugarloaf Key, Florida. 4 days of music and fun with 12 musical acts along with the Rockers in Recovery Supergroup featuring Ricky Byrd, guitarist formerly of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Liberty DeVito, formerly of Billy Joel, Woody Geisman of the Del Fuegos, Kasem Sultan of Todd Rundgren and Utopia, Christine Ullman of the Saturday Night Live Band, and 4 more to be announced by September. Find out more about this sober Woodstock in Sugarloaf Key by joining rockersinrecovery.com or by calling 877-799-8773.
Are you ready to explode your business? Then you are ready to take advantage of the massive marketing power of the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Network. Advertise your business, product, or service with one of the most powerful multimedia platforms on the planet. With more than 300,000 online listeners, 30 social media outlets, and a booming 15 hours of live programming on South Florida's 50,000-watt mega giant, AM 1470 WNN. Your business will be exposed to hundreds of thousands of active, progressive consumers hungry for your products and services. You'll be featured on blogs, live streams, social media, at live events, and on hundreds of archived podcasts, including Rockers in Recovery, the East Coast music scene, Defending Your Money, and dozens more. Plus, prime-time national exposure during major festivals from Las Vegas to Boston and the Florida Keys. Get ready to take your business to the next level and jumpstart your branding strategy. Advertise your events, products, and services on the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Network. Call now for special discounted packages, 877-799-8773. That's 877-799-8773. Or visit holisticlifestylesradio.com.
My name is Charles Becker. If you or a loved one has been injured in an accident due to the negligence of another, care enough to hire Beckert & Associates to protect your rights. We are an AV-rated law firm and have 45 years of combined experience. We are all former prosecutors and have all worked for the insurance companies, so we know what they're up to. They have their attorneys, and so should you. When involved in an accident, remember, you may be entitled to $10,000 in medical or lost wages under your PIP policy. In addition, you may receive payments for your pain, suffering, or for the suffering of a loved one. Contact us at 954-941-8363 or visit us on the web at southfloridaattorney.com.
The hiring of an attorney is an important decision that should not be based solely upon advertising. Ask for free written information about the firm's qualifications and experience.
Free concert. Rockers in Recovery Memorial Day Weekend Concert, May 28th, 1:30 to 6:30 p.m., featuring Ricky Byrd, guitarist of the NYC Hit Squad and formerly of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, along with Kasem Sultan, bassist of Todd Rundgren and Utopia, Mick Jagger and Celine Dion, along with 3 other great bands, Johnny B and the Road Dogs, Keep Coming Back Band, and Rhetoric. Come out and join us at the First Step Sober House Memorial Day free concert at 450 Southwest 2nd Street, Pompano Beach. To find out more, go to rockersinrecovery.com or call 877-799-8773.
You are listening to the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Show, brought to you by Holistic Lifestyles Radio Incorporated. For more information about the show and our sponsors, be sure to visit our website, holisticlifestylesradio.com. That's holisticlifestylesradio.com. Now back to today's show.
Hey, we're on. And, of course, John Hollis, and we're hanging out today with Trip Beckert. And Trip Beckert is with Beckert & Associates. It's Charles Beckert. And, of course, Trip has been around a long time, and we can check out Trip at PompanoAttorney.com and SouthFloridaAttorney.com. And Trip is the South Florida attorney. So let's talk about, we've been talking up until this point about a lot of different things in areas of different law, and we, of course, spent the second part of the segment here on 1470 AM talking about, of course, the infidelity and the marriage breaking up and mediation and all of that great stuff. And when we went to break, you brought something up that was very, very crucial. When you look at television and you see the Maria Shrivers and the Arnold Schwarzeneggers and Charlie Sheens and all of the people going through all of their breakups on national TV, and everybody thinks that their litigation is going to be the same or their legal outcomes are going to be the same. What's the deal with that?
Well, somebody comes to me for a divorce. And they have limited income, limited means. You're talking about a reasonable retainer, and you're talking about a reasonable hourly rate. You go to a celebrity client walks into my office, and of course the rates would change exponentially, because not only just because of what it is that he can afford to pay, but it's because the amount of work that's going to be required to do these things. And these guys walk in, they drop $500,000 on a lawyer to litigate their dissolution, and they're doing so from a myriad of perspectives, from a PR perspective, from damage control to preserving assets, all of the things that would go into a mega marriage. But what I was alluding to originally, because you were talking about infidelity, I mean, I cannot in my wildest dreams understand how a woman would not know that her husband had fathered a child in her own household, and then claimed to be so upset about it years later. And I can only think that this was all kind of kept hush-hush, only because he was still in office at the time, and that's when it broke, and because she comes from a political family, it didn't want to, and all that stuff. But it's just not realistic. I mean, some of these things are just so incredulous. They lack credibility.
Go ahead. I'm holding back as far as laughter is concerned, because I just can't. I'm sitting dumbfounded in front of the TV at night going, how would you not know? How would you not know? I look at my lady, I'm like, would you not? I would know in a minute. You know what I mean? Every woman has that, that uncanny ability to have that radar.
It's not just between you and your spouse. It's the rumor mill is going to catch you somehow. I mean, These things get out. I mean, I don't care how many handlers you have around. It's going to get back to you somehow.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. I mean, come on. I just find it kind of bogus. But
have you seen her?
Yeah, well, hey, look, that's his cup of tea. What are you going to do?
I'm not talking about. Well, I would never go there, Trent.
Well, but what we were talking about is, you have the normal, everyday folks that are in the country trying to make a living, trying to get through the daily struggles of life, and they're looking at TV and those divorces that are going on, and they think that their divorce is going to be like their divorce, and it's not. Florida has a very straightforward family law set of rules. The equitable distribution is fairly clear. The time-sharing arrangements are fairly clear. Absent some sort of psychological or drug addiction or basis or child abuse, where the parent should not or could not be a caregiver for the child, there's really no reason why there should be a strong deviation from that. But a lot of times, one or two of the parents would be seeking to erode time sharing or to gain time sharing simply to alter the time, the amount of child support that they would have to pay, because it all comes down to money. And because of the time sharing arrangements and the way that child support guidelines are calculated today, that's really not so much of a factor anymore. Because it doesn't alter the amount that a person has to pay, regardless of the amount of time that they spend. So it's really important that they do that. But again, like we talked at the top half of the hour, write down questions, shoot us an email, or just simply call and make an appointment, and we'll be happy to sit down with you and go over these type of things and try to help you through your problems before they actually get worse.
If you're in recovery or you're coming into recovery and you have that, and Tripp was talking to the general population, I'm now going to talk to the people in the recovery aspect, because when you come in and you're in fear and you have that, cannabis ticket hanging over your head, or you got the
outstanding warrant,
outstanding warrant, all of those things that are, lingering over your head, you need to be able to take care of those things. It's going to free you up to, of course, have a better recovery.
Who wants to hear the door knock every time you got a warrant?
Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy.
Who's at the door?
Who's there now? So here's the good news, folks. The good news is that you can recover, and you can have a pretty good recovery, but you need to have that. You need to clean up the wreckage. So
start taking steps. I mean, nobody's asking you to do it overnight.
Absolutely.
And nobody expects you to do it overnight. But I think what people expect is that you start making progress. Take a little step every day. Before you know it, you're going to turn around and say, wow, I made progress.
Absolutely.
That's pretty cool. I made progress. First time in how many years I made progress?
People see that too.
They do.
But most importantly, we see it and we get to sleep at night because of it.
Yeah.
So here's the good news, folks. If you're listening today and you have an issue, John at rockersandrecovery.com, send it over to us. Let us know what your legal issue is, and I'll forward it on to Tripp. At the same time, we'll also talk about it on the air. Don't use your name. Just send it over, and, of course, we'll get it answered for you. You can also call Tripp at
954-941-8363, or you can just simply look us up on the web. It's got all of the contact information, phone numbers, email addresses, and the like at southfloridaattorney.com, or again, 954-941-8363. Walk-ins are welcome. We're right on Atlantic Boulevard, 901 East Atlantic in Pompano. We'd love to see you. Love to help you out.
All right, and don't forget, May 28th, right here in Pompano Beach, 450 Southwest 2nd Street, a free concert, free food. Concert and the music is put on by Rockers in Recovery. The, of course, other end of that, the food end of it, we want to thank Miami Subs and Grill for sponsoring all of the food for free at this concert, May 28th. So it is going to be free food all day, and we want to thank them. And most importantly, have you come on out, check out Ricky Byrd, Chasm Sultan, Richie Supa, and they're going to be playing, and 5 other bands. You can go to rockersandrecovery.com and find out more information.
Good to see you. Thanks again.
Thank you for listening to the Holistic Lifestyles Radio Show. This program is sponsored by Holistic Lifestyles Radio Incorporated. Join us every day right here on AM 1470 WNN. You can also find us on our Twitter podcast, Facebook, and blogtalkradio.com. For more information about the show and our sponsors, be sure to visit our website, holisticlifestylesradio.com. That's holisticlifestylesradio.com. All broadcast rights to this program are the property of Holistic Lifestyles Radio Incorporated. Rebroadcast of any portion of this program without express written consent is prohibited. The opinions expressed on this sponsored program are strictly those of hostess and callers and are not necessarily those of this station, staff, management, or sponsors. The preceding program, Rockers in Recovery Radio production. Rights to this program are the sole rights of Rockers in Recovery Radio Incorporated. Rebroadcast of this program in any form without express written consent is prohibited. Free
concert. Rockers in Recovery Memorial Day Weekend Concert, May 28th from 1:30 to 6:30 p.m., featuring Ricky Byrd, guitarist of the NYC Hit Squad and formerly of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, along with Kasem Sultan, bassist of Todd Rundgren and Utopia, Mick Jagger, and Celine Dion. Plus, 3 other great bands, Johnny B and the Road Dogs, Keep Coming Back Band, and Rhetoric. Come out and join us at the First Step Sober House Memorial Day Free Concert at 450 Southwest 2nd Street, Pompano Beach. To find out more, go to rockersinrecovery.com or call 877-799-8773. Silence calms the mind and rejuvenates the body. God Pillow has been inspiring daily devotions for over 11 years. God Pillows are custom made with love and intention. We encourage you to become part of our community. Come visit God Pillow on the World Wide Web at godpillow.com. The 4th annual 12-Step Music Fest is coming November 3rd through the 6th in Sugarloaf Key, Florida. 4 days of music and fun with 12 musical acts along with the Rockers in Recovery Supergroup featuring Ricky Byrd, guitarist formerly of Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, Liberty DeVito, formerly of Billy Joel, Woody Geisman of the Del Fuegos, Kasem Sultan of Todd Rundgren and Utopia, Christine Ullman of the Saturday Night Live Band, and 4 more to be announced by September. Find out more about this sober Woodstock in Sugarloaf Key by joining rockersinrecovery.com or by calling 877-799-8773. Here's hoping you're healthy and wealthy. South Florida's Health and Wealth Radio Network, AM 1470, WWNN, Pompano Beach.
AM 1470 with even more information you can use. It's talk radio for adults. Tune in for cutting-edge insight on the issues affecting your generation. Don't miss A Touch of Gray, Saturday afternoons at 1, only on AM 1470 WNN, South Florida's Health and Wealth Network. AM 1470 with even more information you can use. Are you suffering with chronic pain? Tune in for No Bones About It with Dr. Alvin Stein. You'll learn non-invasive techniques that can help you get rid of your pain without the use of harmful drugs or surgery. That's No Bones About It with Dr. Alvin Stein. Tuesday mornings at 11, right here on AM 1470 WNN, South Florida's Health and Wealth Network.
Regular listeners to Peter Bruno's long-running daily radio show, Managing Your Money, know about his original form of research analysis called cycle analysis. This unique system, designed to watch and analyze stock market movement behavior in advance, has guided listeners and clients safely from the market high in the 14,000 area 2 years ago all the way down to the previous lows below the Dow 6,500, just as he protected his clients from the crash of 1987 and again in 2008. If you're not getting the same quality advice from your financial advisor, it's time you called Peter Bruno. Toll free anytime. Consider opening your personalized managed account or find out about the next free 90-minute seminar. The number is 1-800-592-5578. 592-5578. Call Peter Bruno anytime, 24/7. 1-800-592-5578. Benefit from the research that has forecast in advance 2 crashes. Peter Bruno. Call today. 1-800-592-5578.
Market Wrap with Mo Ansari is no ordinary financial talk show. In addition to a rundown of the day's important market numbers and headlines, Mo analyzes the issues that matter most to you and your financial well-being with an impressive list of renowned guest experts from around the world to discuss critical topics that affect your money. It's helpful financial food for thought on your drive home. Market Wrap with Mo Ansari, weekdays at 6 p.m. on WSBR AM 740, South Florida's only Money Talk Radio.
Hi, I'm Mo Ansari, president of Compact Asset Management. If the volatility of these markets is making you seasick, you're not alone. Many investors are afraid to make a move, but not taking action can be just as detrimental as taking the wrong action. All of us here at Compact are focused on growing and protecting your assets. That means watching market activity all day, every day, to try and find the great money-making opportunities during the good times and keep your money out of harm's way during the bad times. We have the products, resources, and experience experience to help you stay ahead of the game. So if you're wondering what your next step should be, let's chat. 1-800-388-9700. I will sit down with you to discuss your options and to help you get past the fear so you can make better financial decisions. Call me at 1-800-388-9700 and let's work together to build your financial future. That's 1-800-388-9700.
Compact Asset Management is a registered investment advisor. Funds custodian, Fidelity Institutional Wealth Services, member FINRA SIPC.
What you want to know. What you need to know. This is South Florida's Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WNN.
Products mentioned on the show have not been evaluated by the FDA and are not intended to diagnose, treat, prevent, or cure any disease. Any health-related information given on the show must be discussed with your physician.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers and are not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Barry's Supplement Hour, brought to you by Barry's Vitamins and Herbs, located at 3551 North Federal Highway in Boca Raton. For nearly a decade, Barry's Vitamins has been one of the nation's premier formulators and manufacturers of today's most innovative nutraceuticals. If you have questions about today's show, please call 561-368-2070. The toll-free order line is 888-888-8022. And now, today's edition of Barry's Supplement Hour.
Everybody, it's drive time, the 5 o'clock show live from the studios at Barry's Vitamins and Herbs. You know what I'll be doing soon? I mean, my buddy who is performing at a comedy club tonight, it's amateur night, and my friend Ari is performing. I'm going to try to go see him at the comedy club in Boca Raton. He is the funniest guy I've ever known. What a tough life, too. Brother died in the Israeli army. His parents were at Auschwitz. He was a sky marshal for LL. Just a tough life. But he survives through comedy. But I'll tell you, I hope he makes me laugh because I'm not very happy. I'm really not happy. And I'll tell you why. I mean, I myself have given all these years, since 1998, I went to the Dome of the Rock. I went inside. I have tried every which way to try to give the Palestinians a chance. But what do? All they ever do is throw rockets and rockets and rockets. And one time the rockets came too close to my children. And I'm going to tell you, the headlines right now, Obama threw Israel under a bus. And it's true. Obama said that Israel should go back to the 1967 lines. I find that unacceptable. I find it disgusting. And I have spent more time in Israel than Obama, okay? I've spent 1/3 of my life now is in Israel. And I will tell you, that's almost like it could be a suicide move if Israel does that. It's just terrible. You don't do this to friends. You just do not do it, especially how much intelligence they give America. I mean, I'm going to take Phenibut. That's it. As soon as I'm done with the show, I'm going to take some Phenibut. You can get it. We can all get it. A lot of you hear about GABA, right? A lot of people take GABA, and you know what? You say, you know what? I take a little GABA, I feel a little better, but really it doesn't really do the job that I want it to. And there's a reason for it, that GABA doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier, and that's the biggest problem with it. Now, most scientists know this. Most scientists know that gamma aminobutyric acid will not cross the blood-brain barrier. Now, what is it and why is it so important, though, for us in stress? And I'll talk about what the problem is with most health food stores don't get the benefits that they would like. But it's really easy to solve the problem. And I'll talk about it in a couple seconds, how you can have regular GABA or you can have phenyl-GABA and what a difference. Now, when you look at gamma aminobutyric acid, it's the chief inhibitory neurotransmitter in the central nervous system. It plays a very serious role in regulating neuronal excitability through the nervous system. And it also is responsible for the regulation of muscle tone. Now, although chemically it's considered amino acid, it's rarely referred to as such in the scientific or medical community. Anyway, it really helps us. if you're a stutterer, if you have panic attacks, it really helps. But again, it's got a big, big problem. It doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier. And because of this problem, you don't get the major benefits. And too many companies, I don't know why. It's like, they have a test. Sometimes if you want to be like a pilot for a combat aircraft or an astronaut, if you try something that doesn't work, they're looking to see if the person keeps trying it over and over again. There's only so many times it will not work, and we know that GABA supplements really don't do the job because they don't cross the blood-brain barrier. But yet, thousands of companies still put GABA in their products. And they'll still give you literature that supplementing with GABA can help you experience benefits. Without gamma-aminobutyric acid, your muscles would be constantly tense, your mind would never stop racing, and your overall ability to function would be severely impaired. And this is why people try to take GABA. Now, it can also help people increase their levels of HGH naturally. It can help induce relaxation and sleep, reduce muscle tension, reduce stress, anxiety, and depression, and promote well-being. But it is produced in the human brain and function as a balancer, and it maintains that balance between the body and the mind in states of excitation. Also, if you take GABA, you can help attention deficit, ADHD, even hypertension, insomnia, alcoholism, also help fuel mental blocks. But the problem is, when it doesn't cross that blood-brain barrier, you can have a problem. So back in 1961, the Soviet Union scientists were looking at some of the best students, and they were looking at the KGB, and they found out that if you put a phenyl ring to the GABA, it can cross the blood-brain barrier, and the results are just outstanding. And they found out it could also help people who stutter, people with heart palpitations, people who have to give speeches and have severe anxiety, students who are taking tests, and some people, when they have a test, they just shut down. They just shut down completely. Why is that? People know the material, they're great students, but they're terrible. Even that term, terrible test taker. With the excitation, they just don't function right. So instead of using gamma-aminobutyric acid, phenyl gamma-aminobutyric acid, and it can cross the blood-brain barrier. And it's been used in Europe since the 1960s for a full range of purposes. It has neurotropic and anxiety-reducing properties. Structurally, phenibut is very similar to GABA. But that phenyl ring, the addition of that phenyl ring to GABA allows the compound to be easily crossed into the blood-brain barrier. But it also changes its activity profile. So it's very, very common for patients when they're going to a doctor all over Russia or Europe, Italy, Germany, Switzerland, that if they have stress, phenibut is standard of care. Now, in Europe, the kids in the dance clubs, they get a hold of it, and it can really inhibit, like for people who are, when it comes to sex, they're so stressed out and they don't really know how to relax. A lot of sexual psychologists or sexual therapists will recommend phenibut because it really lets your guard down. My friend, Dr. Gray Gerson, who I'm telling you, if you need a dentist, his work is phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. And he's obsessed. He's a type A personality, like me. Type A person, everything has to perfectionist. He'll only get his crowns from the best labs in the world. When we've warned people, and this is happening. Too many people are getting crowns, $400, $600. A lot of doctors who have these plans where you get the crown for $400, they're buying the crowns from China for $30. Who knows what kind of crap you're getting in that crown? It's disgusting, but it's happening every day. And I have no idea why John Stossel or people that aren't doing shows on this, what's happening. This is some of the biggest betrayal to people in their health ever, that no one's paying attention. Get a $10 or $20, $30 crown in China, have it shipped, and put it in your mouth. Dr. Gersten would never, Greg would never do that. He uses the best labs in the United States. He's obsessed with it, giving people the best crowns in the world. But he grew up in Russia. Very tough to grow up in Russia as a Jew. He was always the top of his class. In Russia, when they went to school, all doctors, surgeons, they all start the same way and then they break away. But he had to learn regular surgery on human beings. Totally different kind of school. Then he came back. Then he went to America and he went back to dental school at the University of Florida. So he's been through two dental schools in his life. One in Russia and at the University of Florida. And now his son is in dental school also. So pretty soon it will be Gersten and Gersten. But his work is just absolutely amazing. And he takes dentistry more serious than any dentist I've ever known, and I've known quite a bit over the years. But he was on the show with us one day talking about Phenibut, and he says it's Truth Serum, that you feel so relaxed you can't lie on it. He said they used to use it like it's a natural truth serum in Russia. So this phenylaminobutyric acid, better known as Phenibut, again, it's considered basically a derivative of the neurotransmitter GABA. But it is a derivative, but they add this phenyl ring, which allows it, again, to cross the blood-brain barrier. Now, it's sold as a dietary supplement. In some countries in Europe, it's sold as a neuropsychotropic drug for things like neurological function problems and stress and anxiety. They've used it everywhere from Russia to Europe, again, for it's huge with post-traumatic stress disorder, anxiety, and insomnia. So the name Phenibut came from phenylaminobutyric acid by using a derivative and attaching a phenyl ring. Now, Phenibut was synthesized by the Institute in the USSR and the Institute of Experimental Medicine and the Academy of Medical Science by Professor Perikelin. Now, by the way, Phenibut is standard equipment in Russian cosmonauts' medical kit. That's right. All cosmonauts, Russian astronauts, are given Phenibut. It's standard of care. It's in their kit to help them have to deal with any stress if they're in space for long term. Now, see, what happens is the use of conventional tranquilizers for stress and anxiety makes people way too drowsy, so that's unacceptable for astronauts and cosmonauts. However, Phenibut lowers the levels of stress without affecting performance. That's the amazing thing about phenyl-GABA. That's what's so amazing about it, that people, even though you're relaxed and you feel a little euphoric, you perform better on all kind of cognitive tests. So it truly is amazing. Now, Phenibut was in the kit for those who participated in the Apollo-Soyuz joint mission. When we did a joint mission, all the astronauts and cosmonauts had Phenibut. So when they had that mission together, they all used Phenibut, our astronauts too. So, look, we used to have a product here that had a little bit of Phenibut in capsule, and then we had the powder, but the taste is sour. People know that the taste isn't always good. So right now we have what's called Phenetrol, which has pharmaceutical-grade phenibut and some L-theanine, which is great to relax. Now, we are coming out with our powder soon. This one was about over 6 months to design the powder, because even the powder that the company who we were getting from before, it tasted terrible. So we sent it to a company that specializes in taking nutraceuticals and flavoring it. So they take your formula for months, and you pay a lot of money for this. But they work, and they have their chemist work, and it could take months until they get it where it tastes really good. As a matter of fact, I have a sample here that Barry signed off on the wild cherry flavor. And for those of you who used to get phenibut powder from us, wait till you taste the new one that's coming out. But the new one, the powder is also going to have inositol and magnesium. What a product that's going to be, the Fenetrol Plus. But right now we have Fenetrol in capsules. Most people are always going to take the capsules, and the capsules are available now at Barry's. But the one that we have now, the Fenetrol, because it's pharmaceutical grade, and we're using the doses that correlate right with the studies, do not take too many. Start with one. If you feel you need more, then go to 2. And usually that's all you'll ever need. We have had people here that say at 4 they love it. And if you're going to take Fenetrol, if you're going to mix it with serious sedatives that are prescription, I have to cover ourselves and say talk to your doctor for legal reasons. But we're talking about a dietary supplement that can work 20 to 30 minutes after you take it to get real results. Like the old days of herbology, you would take things for stress and it would take, some time. Now, 20, 30 minutes you can get results. And you guys have to be stressed. The world that we live in, it's unbelievable. We had a couple fun days. Bin Laden was killed. We all felt a little happy. The flags were out. But now we're back to the world again. And because I spend so much time in that side of the world, the problem is you kill a cockroach, the nest is going to make more. And until we decide to go after the Queen, which is a nation that supplies all the terrorists the weapons, it was never going to stop. So we live in a stressful world. And look, it just shows you astronauts and cosmonauts have stress. I mean, it can get a little tight up there in space. You can get a lot of stress, so they give them the phenibut. Well, we have people here. We have everything from registered nurses to paramedics to school teachers that take phenibut. And it really is something amazing. It really is amazing. But we had somebody that took 6 of the Fenetrols, and they slept and slept and slept. Read the directions. Start with 1. If you need 2 capsules, you can go to 2. But if you take too many, you can go to serious euphoria, real euphoria. That's the major. A lot of people say, but that's what I want. I want euphoria. Well, what's happening in Europe is that the kids are taking it, and they're giving it to girls. And then the girls are, they're using it for sex all over the clubs. This is kids. This is what they do. Hey, we got a pill. Give it to girls. We'll all have sex because it makes you feel so happy and you let go of all your tension. But it's amazing when they study it how well people do on tests, and you basically give it to the KGB to first of all to outsmart other spies if they felt, or to give it to people so they get people talking. Like Dr. Gerson says, truth serum. But it's so nice for us. I mean, that's just what the KGB was doing. But really, the Russians, and for the average Joe like me and you who just need some natural sedation and some muscle relaxation. But really, it's used for insomniacs, stutterers, post-traumatic stress. In a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, It was found to improve physical strength and, like I said, this is what's amazing, increase intellectual function as well as reduce fatigue. So it's got a track record for over 50 years now of safety. But it's imperative that you start with one and then go to two. Don't be a maniac and take 10 or 15 of them. So it's, but it really is wonderful. So Fenetrol, it's here at Barry's, and you're looking for something for stress. And look at the problems though with Xanax. Okay, Xanax, of course, it's a good drug. Big problem though is that it is really, really habit forming, and I see a lot of problems with Xanax when mixed with opiates. It seems that whenever people mix Xanax with the opiates, sometimes there's a lot of problems. But Xanax, it really is hard to get off of Xanax. I mean, the doctors, the psychiatrists or family doctors will give Xanax to treat anxiety and panic disorders and people who have extreme fear but this benzodiazepine, they work by decreasing abnormal excitement in the brain. But what people like is that Phenibut does it, but it's nowhere near as habit-forming as Xanax. Xanax has a lot of problems, and Xanax has some serious side effects like lightheadedness, headaches, dizziness, irritability, too much talking, difficulty concentrating. This is why where phenyl GABA and Xanax. This is why the advantages of difficulty concentrating. Well, phenyl GABA, Phenibut, and Fenetrol shows to help concentrating. Irritability. Some people get irritable on Xanax. Hard to believe, right? That doesn't happen with Phenibut. Some people on Xanax get joint pain. Never seen anything with Phenibut. Some people can get yellowing of the eyes with Xanax. I've never seen it with Phenibut. Remember, Phenibut is a dietary supplement. Memory problems with Xanax, confusion, unusual behavior or mood, thinking about suicide, problems with balance. You don't really see that with Phenibut. That's why so many people come here and get Fenetrol. Phenibut really is a great gift that the Soviet Union brought to the world. But again, now it's used all over Europe. What we do, though, is that we use the doses that correlates with the studies, and we also put L-theanine in there. But Phenibut, it's wonderful. And you know what? I mean, look, there's a lot of things. Every health food store will have something for stress. But most of the time, let's be honest. Do you want to wait weeks for something? I want something to. If I'm stressed, I want it to work in a half hour. I want to be able to go home, relax, watch something funny on TV, and calm down. And that's what I love about Phenibut. And we're just talking about a derivative of GABA, a neurotransmitter that can cross the blood-brain barrier with the phenyl ring. So it's got over 50 years of safety. It's compared to be the most natural supplement to Xanax and Valium. There are some similarities and yet some differences between Xanax and the dietary supplement Phenibut. So Phenibut really is GABA derivative, and you put a phenyl ring, and it goes again through the blood-brain barrier. It also helps increase your dopamine levels, which is nice. And if you really have anxiety, if you need something without a prescription, and you need it to work fast, nothing will work as good as phenyl GABA, phenibute, and phenytrol. And phenytrol is real nice because we had L-theanine. Yeah, we had another product for years here, but people had to take 4 and 6 capsules. Why? It was a great product, but it was just, I realized that it was just the phenibute in there was not enough compared to the study. So we wanted to make it that people could take 1 or 2 and give it to them for a lot less money. So we contracted a GMP, FDA-approved laboratory, go through all the steps, get the phenibute from Europe, and here we go. We've been using phenibute for the last 10 years. It's great. When they first started studying it, you always go to mice. They found out that phenibute increased their social behavior. And then they studied it with cats. Believe it or not, they studied it with cats. And the veterinarians and scientists said, wow, the cats have positive emotional symptoms. So they put rats in a real tough situation that would make rats really get nutty. They gave them phenibute. They handled these tough situations real well. Now, look, phenibute, it's not going to be quite as strong as Valium or Xanax, but the effects are very similar. What I like about phenytrol is it can also help with people who have real tight muscles that are painful from stress, and your muscles get tight and you feel everything pulling together. You ever get so stressed that you just feel like your body, there's no way to get out of this? No meditation. Even going to the beach is not going to help you to relax. You need something. Again, that balance with your body, your mind, and excitability. You need something to calm the body down. And sometimes you get to that level, you need something like phenytrol. And I would certainly try this before you go to the Xanax route. And Valium can make depression worse. See, Xanax and Valium can make depression a lot worse. What I love about phenytrol and phenibute is that in double-blind placebo-controlled trials, it's improved physical strength, and I love that it increases intellectual function. And that's one of my favorite things about it, because not only can you calm down, but you can, the cognitive tests show that patients who take it show superiority on their test. So if you have anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, if you're a stutterer, find out more about phenytrol. You can call us at Barry's at 561-368-2070. Again, 561-368-2070 to order anything at Barry's. If you need it shipped, you can call us to 888-888-8022. Again, 888-888-8022. And phenibute is getting more and more published now in the National Library of Medicine. It just really is wonderful. So all over on the other side of the world, phenibute is standard of care. Here it started. It really started, I would say, about 2001. That's when phenibute really, year 2000, 2001, that's when it really started getting momentum in the States. And there was a big study that came out in published in the Journal of Central Nervous System Drug Review, that's where I first saw it. And in the Journal of Central Nervous System Drug Review, they talked about it. They called it beta-phenyl GABA, a tranquilizing neurotropic drug, but it's a dietary supplement. And look, post-traumatic, they talk about stuttering and depression and how great it is. And after that study came out, that's when it really started getting momentum and started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we have dispensed thousands and thousands and thousands of bottles. The comedian Jim Carrey got off antidepressant medications because of phenibute. And that's at least what I was reading in an interview. So that's great. The guy who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, he's been on our show. He loves phenibute too. There's even a study published where they, this is amazing. I will tell you this. If anybody's trying to get off, any addicts, whether it's alcohol, opiates, heroin, Phenibut definitely helps people get off. Yeah, I mean, they did a big study with heroin addicts that got published at the end of 2009 where it really helped people get off heroin. But, today they use something called Suboxone that hits their receptors, but you could also take Phenibut with it. And we've had a lot of people say they were never able to get off opiates. They were just stuck. Every time they'd go off, the withdrawals were so hard and they were so miserable. But with Phenibut, it really helped them. But I would tell you this. If you're trying to get off narcotics, you should do it also with a physician with Suboxone. But it's tough, It's a shame that such pain medicine, this is real. I'll tell you, if you have the money, and let's say you're addicted to Percocet or Vicodin or morphine, it happens. So in Israel, this Dr. Wasserman, he realized that a lot of young kids that had shrapnel and serious wounds in the Army, a lot of wounds from missiles that were thrown by terrorists, had serious pain. You start giving them, while they're going through reconstruction, while they're going through amputation, there's a lot of pain. So people are on the opiates. And unfortunately, opiates are very habit-forming. And you could be a Superman. You could be macho strong. It doesn't matter. Getting off of opiates is brutal. Brutal for people. Just brutal. So this doctor said, this Israeli doctor came out with this, and he's actually went back to Israel now, but they still do it in America. You can actually go off narcotics, and they kind of put you to sleep for a few days. And then they give you drugs to give you the most unbelievable withdrawal, but you don't know because you're basically, it's like kind of like they put you, like when you get a colonoscopy. You're not in general anesthesia, but they keep you in a state where you don't know what's going on. You're like Twilight, which is great. And then they get these withdrawals, and when you in a few days, it's all basically the worst is over. The only problem is not all insurance wants to cover it, and it's $15,000. But for some people, it's the only true way to get off of heroin or opiates and even Xanax. One of the biggest problems that they have is getting people off of Xanax. And that's why, although Xanax is amazing, look, if you're one of these people that can take a Xanax when you're going, maybe if you're flying to Australia and that's what you want, I'll tell you what, you know how many people come in and get Fenitrol at Barry's and we have another product called Sedate when they're flying? Anyone that's going on a plane, if you want to have I do it all the time when I fly to Israel. You think that I want to be up for 14 hours? Forget about it. There's no way. Wake me up when we're in Tel Aviv, okay? I mean, I can't handle it. Sometimes it's longer. But I mean, by the time you start your journey, by the time you get your luggage in Israel, it's like 21 hours. By the time you start your journey, and by the time you get there. Oh, and you sit in that seat 14, 15 hours on the way. Wow. You think, I don't want it. I can't deal with it. Thank God I was up the last time because I saved some guy's life that went into a diabetic coma. This guy from Oklahoma, he's alive today because of me, that's for sure. But I asked God, give me a break. I don't want to be any superhero. I want some rest. Somehow I've always wind up with these things. But anyway, what do? I take Fenitrol and Sedate. Wake me up when we're in Tel Aviv. This one time I took British Airways. And this girl from the UK, we went from Israel to the UK, from Heathrow to Miami. She was absolutely having a panic attack about flying. The plane's going to crash. She's screaming, the plane's going to... Her friends were like, calm down. She's never like this. First time she's ever on a plane. She went into complete freaking out. This girl was unbelievably... I mean, if she was in the hospital, they would have given her a shot right there or something. I mean, she was flipping out. So she's sitting in the aisle next to me, but one behind. Tell her friends, look, I have two natural things here. I'm telling you, we can give her this, and it'll calm down. They were desperate. So I gave them Phenibut, and I gave them Sedate. In 40 minutes, that girl was out. We didn't wake her up until half the people were off the plane already in Miami. We knocked her out. This girl was freaking. The plane was already in it. Wow. I'm going to crash. I can't do this. I can't breathe. Wow, the fear. Never was on a plane before. It's not the time to get panicked when you're up there. See, I have a theory. When I fly, I love flying because I take the Fenitrol and I take Sedate. And when I'm on a plane, I say to myself, wow, because I'm a type A personality, hey, nothing's my responsibility now. It's the captain's. And so really, to me, I kind of look at it sometimes as a treat because I love Delta now. I go from West Palm to Georgia and Georgia to Israel. And what I like about Delta is they got great movies. They even got HBO on it. Love it. I was trying to watch some of the Black Swan movie, but every time the Phenibut and Sedate kicks in, I fall asleep. Really, if you really have a problem sleeping, I mean, Fenitrol and Sedate, don't take them at the same time, though. Usually what we'll tell you to do is take Fenitrol around 8 or 9 at night and then take Sedate right before you go to bed. And you'll have a beautiful night's sleep. It's called Sedate and Fenitrol. Starts working right away. You can call us at 561-368-2070, 561-368-2070. Matter of fact, Phenibut is so good, they did a study that was published in the European Journal of Pharmacology, and they looked at people that went into respiratory distress problems. So Phenibut is so strong, they actually did a study where they took people that were having respiratory problems and they injected Phenibut, and they actually got better, and it counteracted the respiratory arrest. That's kind of a neat study. But I'm telling you, if you're one of those people that just really are tight and your muscles are getting tighter and you're getting stressed and you feel like you're going, you're wound, try Fenitrol. Come see us at 3551 North Federal Highway in Boca Raton, 561-368-2070. To order anything, 888-888-8022. So I'm definitely going to take Phenibut because I just got to be honest. You know what? When we got bin Laden, I said, thank God. But now they're starting to, they say they're going to investigate Obama, that he knew it for 1 month or a year. They knew that he was there for 1 year. Look, all these politicians, I can't stand any of them. But I got to tell you something. There's no doubt that I'm taking Fenitrol tonight because I'm ticked. I'm being honest. Israel to go back to the 67 borders. As the Hamas said, they want every Jew, everyone dead. They will never accept Israel, so we can even bring them closer to the children. Their behavior, look, nobody wants peace more than me. I've been to Turkey. I've been in the Dome of the Rock. I want peace with all cultures. But Hamas's actions are disgusting. And just remember when the Twin Towers went down, just remember what they were doing in Gaza. They were celebrating. They were cheering. They were giving candy to the children. And that kind of behavior should not be rewarded for anything. And it's not going to make peace. It's going to make things more dangerous. And I'm just not into it. Unfortunately, there's only one Jewish state in the world, and that's Israel. And I don't want to see it commit suicide. So I'm going to definitely take Fenitrol because I'm very tense from this. I'm very upset to be honest, I'm very upset. And Bibi Netanyahu, I think he already said, yeah, right. But look at the first time Obama, he stopped giving Israel helicopter parts for their helicopters. He really has not been a very good friend to the Jewish state. And, it's before he became president, he went to Israel, and, what he said then and what he's doing now, it's just not good. It's not good. And he says he's Christian. He should read his Bible. It talks about that land. I mean, he's crazy. He's going everything against. But so I'm going to take offense of you because I'm very upset. I'll stop talking about that, though. Look, the FDA is okaying something called Afinitor to treat pancreatic cancer. The FDA has approved the drug Afinitor to treat a rare type of pancreatic cancer. The Novartis-made drug has been approved to treat patients with progressive neuroendocrine tumors located in the pancreas that cannot be surgically removed, which have spread to other parts of the body. These neuroendocrine tumors found in the pancreas are slow-growing and rare. The FDA says fewer than 1,000 new cases are reported in the U.S. each year. And patients with this cancer have few effective treatment options. Well, that's from the drug company. If you read and you go to PubMed and you hit EGCG, the part of green tea, you'll see unbelievable studies that are coming out and where they're saying at medical institutions this can prevent and even fight pancreatic cancer. Now, the FDA is saying patients treated with that drug are probably going to suffer with inflammation of the mouth, rashes, diarrhea, fatigue, bad stomach pain, nausea, fever, and headaches. And now they're looking at it. It's also approved now to treat patients with kidney cancer. You want to know something with kidney cancer? Very interesting. Most people that find cancer of the kidneys, usually it's by accident. Someone has stomach pain, and they have an MRI, a CAT scan, and they find the kidney cancer. But I will tell you right now, one of the reasons why everybody should take EGCG, not the green tea bags, because you get so little in there. You take the extract EGCG, is that they have really published this now. It has an unbelievable ability to try to prevent pancreatic cancer and even kill pancreatic cancer. Now, remember, you have the head, the tail, and the body of the pancreas. And I met, speaking about Israel, coming back from Israel, this former pilot from Haifa is sitting, this is 2 flights ago, is sitting next to me. And I said, what are you doing going to Florida? Well, I left the police. I opened up a stereo store in, electronics. That's what the Israelis do. They open up electronic stores. And I went on a Carnival cruise with my wife, and I got food poisoning. I left the ship. I went to the hospital, and they wanted to give me a CT, and I didn't want it. My wife pushed me, so I did it, and they found, not only they find tumors on my kidney, but they found a tumor on my pancreas. And they said that I probably would have, if I didn't get the food poisoning, these cancers would have killed me eventually. Luckiest guy in the face of the earth. Now, in the Journal of Frontier Bioscience, they came out with the title, EGCG inhibits, now listen to this carefully, EGCG inhibits growth, invasion, angiogenesis, and metastasis of pancreatic cancer. Now, this is University of Texas Health Science Center, Department of Biochemistry. And listen to what they say carefully. We have shown that EGCG, a polyphenolic compound from green tea, inhibits growth and induces apoptosis in human pancreatic cancer cells. Overall, our data is suggesting that EGCG inhibits pancreatic cancer growth, invasion, metastasis, and angiogenesis, and thus can be used for the management of pancreatic cancer prevention and treatment. That's huge. That's a huge statement from the University of Texas to make on EGCG. Now, what are the best ways to get EGCG? Now, a lot of you will get green tea extracts, liquid extracts, and I'm here to tell you that some of them are okay. Most of them use 80% polyphenol. We have our green tea power drops have 98% polyphenol and 50% of the bottle of EGCG. Very powerful. Now we have another product that we sold out of, but I think some came in. It's called Epidex. Epidex. It's green tea bonded with cyclodextrin. And it is 98% polyphenol, but 60% of it is EGCG, and it's 500 mgs per capsule. We believe that is the most powerful green tea ever made today. That's right. We believe that we have the most powerful green tea extract ever made. And then we bond it with cyclodextrin to make it higher in universal bioavailability and make it stay retained in the body longer. It's really amazing. And all over the world, they're studying cyclodextrin with drugs and that, and they proved it. Look, we make Tumeridex, which is turmeric bonded with cyclodextrin. Just read the paper from MD Anderson, the best cancer institution we have in this country, maybe in the world. So that when you take cyclodextrin with turmeric, it becomes a super disease fighter. Now, they are even studying now the cyclodextrin now with green tea. So it's really, really amazing. So Epidex is the pill, or the green tea power drops is the extract. So both of them are great. But a lot of people are going towards Epidex. It's a very unique capsule. But the green tea power drops are delicious. We have peach flavor and original and cinnamon. But 98% polyphenol, 98%. I love green tea power drops. And a lot of people, believe it or not, they take the green tea and they take the Epidex too, but they take the green tea power drops because they just love to make hot tea. With the green tea power drops, you could put it in cold water, make delicious iced tea. You could put it in hot water and make hot tea. You could take it straight. Some people put it in their smoothie. Some people put it in their juice. I love it. Sometimes I take the green tea power drops if I'm really thirsty, and I put some water and I put it in there and have nice, cold, beautiful, healthy iced tea. Wow, I love it. Absolutely love it. And the cyclodextrin. Hey, you know who the first that I saw really using cyclodextrin was the Japanese. With the number one product to ever use with chemotherapy is bonded with cyclodextrin, active hexose correlated compound. It's amazing. Cyclodextrin by itself fights anthrax and even fights cancer. And it's a natural process. It's an enzymatic process coming from starch. Every health agency around the world has called it absolutely safe. Cyclodextrin takes things, makes them hydrosoluble, keeps them in the body longer, so it increases the universal bioavailability. But you take resveratrol. Resveratrol is amazing for our health. We know it helps the heart. We know it helps the brain. We know it helps fight against cancer. What is the big problem, though? Resveratrol should be put under the tongue for 1 minute, and when you put it with cyclodextrin, the problem with resveratrol is you absorb all of it. But 85 to 90% of resveratrol gets metabolized out of your body in an hour, in your waste system, in your urine. So it's a problem. They found by putting resveratrol under the tongue, it's amazing. Now, companies have tried this, but resveratrol tastes nasty, disgusting. They found out when you put cyclodextrin can make bad things that taste bad taste decent. Cyclodextrin should win Nobel prizes because I'll tell you what it does. Fights disease, makes things bioavailable, and also gets rid of bad taste. What it does for fish oil is it's in fat. They've taken fish oil, they bonded it with cyclodextrin, they left it outside for 30 days out in the sun. Nothing oxidizes. It stops things from oxidizing. Supplements, it's amazing. That's why we make so many supplements with it. So we have the Epidex, the strongest green tea bonded with cyclodextrin, 500 milligram capsules, 98% polyphenol. So it's amazing. But that paper, the best paper ever, is from the University of Helsinki and MD Anderson on cyclodextrin and turmeric. How when you put them together, fights every cancer. May not cure, but certainly helps. And that's right from MD Anderson. You can show it to your oncologist. It's amazing. It really is amazing. So we're doing all this technology here, and this is why, look, you could take resveratrol. We're the first ones ever to come out with this. We have 35 milligram that goes under the tongue. Now, they've proven, and they published this, 1.5 milligrams of resveratrol under the tongue is equal to if you take 250 milligram capsule. So think about it. We have a 35 milligram under the tongue, and it tastes great. Resveradex, the best resveratrol supplement ever made. Resveradex, one a day under the tongue. Someone came in and said, since I've been taking it, I have more energy. Well, you know why? In the Olympic world or the sports world, they call it trioxystylamine, which is resveratrol. It helps endurance. Problem is most people they absorb resveratrol, but they don't utilize it. So you put your resveratrol under the tongue for 1 minute. All you need is 1 minute. Yeah, cyclodextrin is the best discovery in my lifetime, I think. I mean, I know a lot of you probably think Viagra is, but look, it just came out now. Viagra is causing so much hearing problems. That's why so many guys love it. I don't know why anybody would take. Why would anybody take Viagra when it's like up to $20 a pill, has a lot of side effects? When Spice It Up works better, we have a product that I know it works better. You know how many thousands of guys tell us it's better, and it's right now it's only $20 for 8 pills. It may have to go up soon though. We're having a tough time keeping it at that price. But you take 1 pill. For you, some maniacs take 2. I don't know how they do that, but sometimes we have guys that take 1 in the morning and 1 at night. But let me tell you something. I mean, Viagra's $20 a pill. Spice It Up is natural. It's safe. And it does more. It also works on your libido and testosterone, so it also builds muscles. So you have 8 pills for 20 when 1 Viagra is 20. Why? I mean, Spice Up is amazing. It's amazing. We have so many guys that come here saying that they feel just like they're in high school again with Spice It Up. So many guys have said that their wives have gotten pregnant when they couldn't get pregnant with Spice It Up. Because there's no doubt Spice It Up will give a man a much better ejaculation. And the more you use it, the stronger your ejaculations get. It's wonderful. It's very healthy for your prostate. That is very healthy for your prostate. Let me tell you, ejaculations are the front line of defense against prostate cancer. It's imperative. Ejaculate, ejaculate, ejaculate. I'm not joking. I am not joking. So we talked about the green tea. We talked about Epidex, which the green tea is stabilized with cyclodextrin, 98% polyphenol, 60% EG/CG. Very powerful. Epidex, I believe, is the most potent green tea pill ever made. The green tea power drops we talked about. We talked about Fenetrol for stress and for stutterers and for anxiety and for people that have problems sleeping. We talked about Sedate, too, that if you need more extra help for sleeping, Sedate and Fenetrol, what a combination. And believe me, look up Xanax and withdrawals. You'll see people really go through serious withdrawal with Xanax. So that's a big problem. It's very habit-forming, Xanax. Let me tell you something. Well, I was just talking about cyclodextrin, right? They have published studies, and this is out of a European journal. It's for naturopaths and doctors in Europe. The headline said CoQ10 bioavailability boost from cyclodextrin. This is what this said. Delivering coenzyme Q10 complex with beta-cyclodextrin can increase the bioavailability of the nutrient with benefits experienced by all. Researchers are showing that CoQ10 with cyclodextrin found that it worked on 100% of the subjects. 100% of the subjects experienced increases in CoQ10 levels. compared to only 44% that were in a soft gel group. That was published in the Journal of Integrative Medicine. The response was defined as doubling of the CoQ10 levels. And the results support the ability of CoQ10 cyclodextrin to deliver those therapeutic levels. Is that amazing? The scientists say the complexion of CoQ10 with cyclodextrin was first studied in the mid-90s and is proven bioavailability for CoQ10. So it is derived from potato starch. That's how it comes from an enzyme from potato starch. So it is. So it does. It makes things bioavailable. Is that amazing? And there is a huge problem with CoQ10. The molecules are too large. They're crystallized. You've got to change all that by using cyclodextrin. They found with cyclodextrin CoQ10 a 3.7-fold increase in the bioavailability, and they doubled CoQ10 plasma levels. It's with cyclodextrin.
Here's hoping you're healthy and wealthy. South Florida's Health and Wealth Radio Network, AM 1470. WWNN, Pompano Beach.
We can stop HIV, Iowa.
And it all starts with health equity.
We must work together so that all Iowans have access to the resources they need to prevent, diagnose, and to treat HIV.
Visit StopHIVIowa.org.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.